so big that they didn't have a cauldron large enough to cook all the food needed for the guests. They knew that only one cauldron in the universe was large enough to fit their needs, and it was owned by Hymir the giant. So they sent Thor to get the cauldron from him. Now Hymir, despite not being on the best of terms with the gods, was a good host, and so he prepared a 2-day feast for Thor's arrival. But Thor, noted for his ferocious appetite, finished all the food in one sitting, irritating Hymir no end. Hymir told Thor that they would both go fishing the next day and get more food, and sent Thor to find some bait, something Thor promptly did by killing 2 of Hymir's prize bulls. Well, you can imagine how Hymir felt about that. But, figuring that Thor would still be useful for his fishing trip, he said nothing, and the next day he and Thor set out to catch some food. Among his many other virtues, Thor was also a good fisherman and promptly caught 2 whales. While Hymir was satisfied at this point and wished to return to land, Thor rowed deeper out into the sea, where he could confront his lifelong enemy, the sea serpent Jormungand. This frightened Hymir, who begged Thor to return to the shore. Within moments, though, Thor had cast his line into the deep sea and had hooked the mighty serpent. A powerful struggle ensued between Thor and the desperate Jormungand. Just as Thor was about to slay the serpent with his hammer, a still frightened Hymir cut the line and set Jormungand free. Well, you can equally imagine how Thor felt about that. He tossed Hymir overboard, slung the 2 whales over his shoulders, presumably to be eaten as a light snack before lunch, headed for shore, grabbed Hymir's cauldron and went back to Asgard. If there's a moral to this story, don't mess with Thor would probably be it.
Suntem în post asta. Ce mâncare știu aici. Ce ne dăm cu boful, nu? Number 7. The Vikingship Museum. You can also get off here to visit the Holocaust Center. Stop number 8. Norwegian Museum of Cultural History. Note that the Museum of Cultural History also has some interesting outdoor exhibitions for you to see, so try not to miss them. Do you smoke? Whether you do or not, you can find out more about it in the tobacco exhibition. Here you can get tons of information about the production and consumption of tobacco, and its effects in a historical journey. Are you a dentist? Dental health has seen dramatic improvements over the years. Dentist or not, go see the exhibition, which showcases these changes and the stages in dental history. And last but not least, the pharmacy exhibition at the Frogner Pharmacy Laboratory. You can investigate the history and development of this science. It's a very interesting exhibition, and not to be overlooked. Most Norwegians are Lutheran, so the Reformation has a great significance in forming Norwegian spiritual life. And the period is well represented with altarpieces, pulpits, church organs, and other church art from up to the year 1800. You will learn a lot more about Norwegian cultural history in this museum.
what they had done, they tried to hide the evidence by tying a millstone around his neck and dropping him into the nearby body of water. No one knows what happened to the girl, but Halvard was resurrected the next day, complete with millstones. Later miracles were attributed to him, and he was canonized as Oslo's painting saint in 1703. Perhaps St. Halvard's most lasting legacy will be the craft brewery that has been named after him. Norwegian painter, but less well known was that his life was in fact one tragedy after another. He lost his mother when he was 6 years old, and his sister when he was 14. After the loss of the mother, his father became a religious fanatic, often having violent breakdowns. He forced Edvard to study to be an engineer, but Edvard rebelled and started to study at the Royal School of Art and Design in Christiania. His life continued to be difficult. He was addicted to many drugs and struggled with alcohol and nicotine dependency. He is believed to have been bipolar, but he allegedly utilized his many sufferings as the motivation for his work. His love life was full of pain as well. He was once shot in his finger by one of his lovers. His first attempts to display his paintings were failures, but he eventually became well known for his most shocking painting, Scream. Munch said he sensed an infinite scream passing through nature while he walked by a ford with two of his friends. The scream has become the essential representation of German expression. After the painter's death, it was stolen and returned to the family. In his life, Munch's art was controversial. The Nazis stigmatized the women and built a Oslo's Resistance Museum is dedicated to Norway's role in World War II and the resistance movements that operated in the country during the war. During the war, the country was invaded by Germany, but resistance forces helped the government to escape. Armed resistance during the 5 years of German occupation included sabotage and other attacks on German troops. They even managed to halt the German nuclear program with the destruction of a heavy water plant. Visit the museum for a more comprehensive account of their bravery. Number 12. Oslo Cruise Ship Terminal and Akerhus Castle and Fortress. Troubling period in Norwegian history. During World War II, German occupation authorities were scared of the possible protests from locals as they attempted to target and arrest Jews. But pro-fascist Norwegian authorities wanted to gain the favour of Germany. Arrested Jewish families were brought to the dock in taxis specially rented for the purpose. A policeman would get 20 kroner for every Jew arrested. 2 steamboats left Oslo, taking 767 Jews to meet their tragic fate in the death camps. Only 28 of them survived. Oslo and Greenland, another city area we are heading to, might be regarded as paradises of multiculturalism. The Brooklyn Mosque, the second largest mosque in Norway, is a remarkable house of worship with room for 700 people. If you are hungry, you can satisfy your appetite with anything from kebabs to craft burgers, from Asian food to authentic Norwegian cuisine. The building that houses the Intercultural Museum earlier served as a police station. Its wonderful exhibitions are located in former prison cells. Grunland Park is also the former front guard of the old Oslo prison. As we get closer to the Oslo Opera House, let us share some information about it. The Oslo Opera House is Norway's largest cultural institution, with a budget of 500 million kroner a year. Nonetheless, the centre has experienced dramatic financial problems due to the high pension and maintenance costs, and so, in the summer of 2016, in an unprecedented move, the administration of the Opera House closed it down for a day and rented out the entire building for a wedding. This caused an outcry from the leaders of Norway's other public cultural institutions, who said that they would never close a public venue for a private event. While the wedding brought much-needed revenue to the opera's coffer, the opera's marketing and communications director noted that the wedding was probably a one-time thing, although he wouldn't definitively say that they wouldn't do a private event again. number 14. Opera House. Those high-rise buildings. They're barn-free buildings. This huge complex was built in 2008 and features clean, geometrical shapes and prominent use of glass. The buildings function as offices and apartments. Approximately 10,000 people work there, and there are 450 apartments in the complex.
Lutheran? Is it Lutheran?
Stortorvet, the Grand Plaza, is probably the most famous square of Oslo. The Reputable Square was the place of the town market in the good old days from its inauguration in 1736 until 1889. The statue in the square is King Christian IV, pointing to the ground and saying, "Here the city is to be built." There's a wonderful old site here that is a Norwegian cultural heritage site, the old restaurant Stortorvet's Gjeistgiveri building. Building coming up is the National Gallery. The National Gallery is where Edvard Munch's world-famous painting The Scream is on show. It's an absolute must-see on any trip to Oslo. There's a well-known riddle surrounding the painting. Take a look and see if you can solve it. Is the figure in the foreground a man or a woman? If you are unsure, perhaps it's because it remains a mystery to this day. You can also find works by some of the finest representatives of French Impressionism, such as Cézanne and Manet, in this museum.
Men vi er tilbake.
Ja, vi er tilbake.